So Tesla stock has been really moving in volatile ways the past few days. But one thing that I'm really kind of bullish on right now is the next 2 to 3 days, because these are crucial to start this week. You see, when you look at the tech sector, for example, a stock like Google, which makes up YouTube, like the video that you're watching right now, that's a stock that's down and it has some potential to go to previous highs. We've also seen that Tesla stock has dropped about 15% after the robotaxi event. And today, at one point, guys, it dropped another 1%, and now it's recovered. I actually ended up making a trade, as you can see right here. It looks like, I think it was about 3% or so. The other one that I purchased was the Google 2x leverage bull. And the reason I did that is because honestly, there's so much growth in the AI space right now that Google is positioning themselves quite well. And coupled with strong growth year over year with YouTube and seeing that they're very stable, I saw an opportunity to buy a dip on Google. And I also see that they have their 2x leverage. So basically, if Google goes up by $1, this stock that I'm holding goes up by $2 and vice versa. And you might say, Will, why are you buying Tesla stock? You just made a video yesterday that you pointed out a lot of things that are wrong with the short term in Tesla. But the thing is, guys, Tesla stock is not solely cars. They're reshaping a lot more than just the car industry. It's going from the automakers to also in-service workers with Optimus, the robot that's running on AI. Those robots that we saw in the past robotaxi events absolutely look like human builds, or they look like humans and they move like humans already. So to see that those could be used as a barista or as a bartender or certain jobs that maybe the other person that is working that job could go spend time with their family and they can find other things to do or do something they're passionate about, like be an artist. It's kind of a crazy world that we live in, but ultimately, they say the utopia of human race is that nobody has to work, everybody can do what they want, and that's like the perfect life, right? You could say. Not saying we're anywhere close to that, but just to show you like that's an innovation. Then we have not just car makers competing with the likes of GM and Ford and Chevrolet, which I guess that's also GM, and also just all the biggest, Toyota and everybody else. But also you have them competing now with this robotaxi that's essentially going to be an autonomous driver for you to have your car go Uber people around all day and make you money while you're in your house or what have you. That whole idea is competing with Uber and Lyft and Uber Eats and Rappi and all these different companies that are also in the rideshare and the delivery service. And so when you look at that and you look at, just all of these things are moving, you have Twitter, which is private, but you best believe that the innovations that they're making in SpaceX or at Twitter or at X, or the innovations that are happening at Tesla, you best believe that Elon is taking those innovations and they don't just stay in that one company. If they have an AI breakthrough over here on X with Grok, which is kind of like ChatGPT, guess what? That innovation could be put into Tesla. Elon can kind of do whatever he wants when it comes to the innovation and sharing information between these companies. And that's something that you'll absolutely see. We saw it with SpaceX, Starlink, and Starlink now providing satellite for and service exclusively for Teslas, and that you can have Wi-Fi anywhere you are because of Starlink, which is a byproduct of SpaceX. You're also looking at Grok and how that could tie into the main AI that assists drivers when they're in their Tesla. Like there's so many overlaps in these companies, and so that's why you see Tesla as a long-term play and what potentially could be a recovery here on the short term. I know that it's also bad news to hear them say we're going to do the robotaxi next year, because they've been saying that since 2020 anyway. They've been saying that for a while, and it's absolutely a postponed event that we get time and time again. So it's just part of the process. I want to show you guys kind of the stock outlook. There's 3 things that really stood out to me about the direction of Tesla. If we look at Tesla and you look on the 5-year, there is some volatility obviously coming from here. If you pull, let's just pick this support right here. Support at around $200. Another support roughly around $200. Then we came down here. There's a support roughly around 200. Then, this kind of acted as a resistance. It pushed down, found a new support. And this is a support around $115 that was back here in 2020. So I'm looking on the very long-term view, right? We see that now it started this trend ever since 2022 or 2023 in January, that $100 price point, the $200 price point, the $200 price point is where we see that it got rejected. So that previous support acted as a resistance here. It got rejected. Then it found a new support and pushed back up to almost 300. And if you look across, you could see here's a top, here's a top, here is a top a little lower, and it kind of sunk down here. This right here, this support, again, we found a support around 165. It started to push up, and when it got to this support that was acting as resistance, right, around $216, it broke through, retested here in August, and broke through again, and now it's retesting that $200 to $215, $220 support. And so this is a support that we've seen all the way back to really what was 2021, 2020. And so if you look now on the 3-month, or let's look on the year to date, you can see this support. You have a support, there is a higher high, a higher low, there is a much higher high, higher low, and then we see about the same right here of high, establishing a resistance, and now we're at $219, and we can see that there is an uptrend that's happening on the 3-month, or not on the 3-month, on the more like the 6-month from here to here. There's an uptrend that's starting, and so to see it get back to these $250 price points, to me, is not, it's not insane to see that happen. The thing that we have to see is if it truly breaks pattern, because right now, even though it's gone down 12%, you could see this trend line from this rising support that really has held pretty strong today. We saw it break down. It went down to 215, 217 yesterday. And then today it retested down there at 215 and pushed back up. So right now we're kind of at what could be a bottom, unless we see that it continues down. And it could happen. It just seems like it's starting this uptrend. And how crazy is it that we saw a high of $400 back in 2021? We've had inflation of more than 3% a year, time and time again, the past 3 years. We've seen increased cost in goods. We've seen a massive innovation by Tesla across all of the industries that they are in. We've seen technological advancements in AI, and we are still valued here at Tesla stock at the same price that they were at back in 2020 in December. So right now, I think is a really critical time to see if Tesla is going to finish this year strong, because if we look on the 1 year, we're at 12% past year. My portfolio in total, I've been up to over 109% at one point this year. And that's because I've actually made majority of my money swing trading. This was one of the big trades I made with Tesla from early June to July, was a 50% gain. And I actually made 75%. I only capitalized on 30% of that gain, but it was on the 2X of Tesla, TSLL, which goes up $2 every time Tesla goes up $1. And that's what I'm invested in today that I showed you guys. So I see maybe we continue this direction. If we do, and we get back to, let's say, previous levels of 250 to 280, let's just call it 270. Let's call it 270. That's a 20% difference than where we're at now. So it would gain 40%. And really, a 40% gain here would be an 80% gain over on TSLL. There's a lot of trading opportunities, a lot of potential value we can see with Tesla. And so that's kind of why I wanted to make this video, is because right now I just purchased, even though they've gone down significantly in the past week, because I'm testing to see, and I have my risk management. I don't know that I'll hold this position through the whole day. We saw a very sharp dip earlier today, and I saw that as indication that we could see recovery, and as it started to recover is when I actually purchased. I'm following it, even if I only, right now we're down to $55 or $60, $62 on the day from Tesla specifically. The other interesting play for me is SOXL. So I have my entire Charles Schwab portfolio in SOXL, and I purchased around $34 over a week ago. I think it was right here. Yep. 34. Yeah, it was at 34 if we look on the candlesticks. The low there was 35. Yeah, I might have purchased at the end of the day on beginning of the day on October 1st, but $34 price point is what I purchased. We're at $40. And the reason why is because SOXL is a semiconductor bull ETF that makes up the companies like NVIDIA that supply the chips for Tesla and for Apple. And they also, there's Taiwan Semiconductor, so the manufacturing, the sourcing, and actually getting the semiconductors that make up, or where NVIDIA sources their microchips, right? So that's, or the materials, that's Taiwan Semiconductor is in this fund. The other company that's in SOXL is the company that makes all of the chips for Meta and for Google. And the company that makes for both Meta and Google, closing both of those deals for over $1 billion, I think it was a couple billion, maybe it's 2 or 3 billion, I gotta look, is Broadcom. So Broadcom actually is the supplier of the materials and the chips, the microchips for Meta and Google, is also in this fund. I purchased because I've seen that we've been on a consistent uptrend. We're in a big boom here in AI, and we saw it go up to around $65 a share. I saw it go down to 34 or 30, and it retested this support here that it had established. There's a support around $25 that it established here in January, and then we saw it reestablish in August, and then it reestablished again in September, and I thought it's a great time to buy, so I ended up buying at 34 after it kind of confirmed that it was going back up in my eyes. And now we're at a hefty profit. I think we're over $1,000 absolutely on this trade alone. And I think, probably around $800 this week. So, it's interesting. I'm looking at those in tandem, because while we have Tesla, we have a lot of tech happening, you have to ask yourself, what companies are backing the growth of Tesla. Because again, Tesla has this technology, they have this AI, they're competing with self-driving Waymo, and they're doing it in a way that's not hard coding. They're using actual AI in their self-driving from billions of data points. How do they process all of that data, and how do they have the processing power to run AI through all of their devices, all of their hardware? Well, they use NVIDIA. All right, ask yourself, so NVIDIA, a lot of people know NVIDIA. It's been getting a lot of investment, it's getting a lot of volume. How much further can you go? Who makes and supplies the materials for NVIDIA to be able to make their chips? All right, we got Taiwan Semiconductor. Okay, so that covers Tesla and Apple in one, if you all the way back to Taiwan Semiconductor. And you can also look into Taiwan Semiconductor and say, okay, what companies have deals with Taiwan Semiconductor to help source the materials for making the microchips? And you can go even further. And then we have Broadcom, which is, essentially in tandem there from Taiwan Semiconductor, and they're supplying over to Meta and Google. And you have to ask yourself, if you can go that far back, you can go far enough back that you could see some undervalue in the market to where the mainstream investors haven't found that value. Like, they haven't said, oh, they just hear NVIDIA. And I don't invest in what I just hear. I inspect what I hear. And so when you hear NVIDIA, there's probably, when you hear Tesla, there's probably an underlying company, NVIDIA. Then there's underlying company, Taiwan Semiconductor. There's an underlying company. You got to go, and really see, because that's where you track the value back up the chain, and that's where the most value is actually being provided. Because without those, if you go far enough back, without that company, none of the companies are working. So there's a lot of resources that are going to be needed with that company. And so there's a lot of value that could be seen. And so that's why I'm looking at SOXL. That's why I'm investing in it. And hopefully this was helpful for you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll keep you guys updated on both positions. For those of you guys that would like to surround yourself with like-minded investors, entrepreneurs, and traders, I would encourage you to check out Stockmate. It's just getting ready to launch here, and I'm really excited to share it with you guys. Again, it's that first link in the description. Simply take a look. Thank you guys again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.